Hello, my name is Alyssa Viola, and this is my final exam video. The first question is, why it is important that people see these famous works of art? I think it is important, first, if you're studying this topic, if you're studying art especially, it helps you go back and see like how it started and how far art has come and like how different art is as well. Not only that, but I believe it is important because we see that they had a strong religious focus back then, and nowadays we don't have that as much, but we do still have great importance on and focus on religion. I think also that it shows how far we've come, and we get to see the value of religion and how it has impacted lives, whether that be in a good way or a bad way, like in the Roman Empire when you got killed if you were Christian in the Colosseum. I think that religion is very important, and it's how people lived back then. I feel like, lived around religion. And so being able to see these works of art show us history in that sense. It is important to me because that has shown me how passionate you should be versus like if you're not as well. Like, it just has shown me how passionate your ideologies can be and how they guide you on your path, whether that is religion or just self-expression. The second question is about the costs that are spent on these works of art. I think that the costs cannot be little. They're definitely spent a lot in keeping these works of art preserved. I know that going into these museums, you have to pay a cost. So I'm sure that they take the cost that people spend going into the museum on cleaning it. Even when I was at the Vatican, I saw some ladies cleaning around sculptures very carefully, and even just like dusting around at the churches. And I would have to say that they have to use cleaning materials that are very gentle on these works of art, because these works of art are very fragile. They've been around for very long, and we all know that the older things are, the more fragile things get. So I would say that these works of art are pretty ancient. I believe that the US just doesn't have as many like artifacts. We don't have as many museums. We do have a lot of churches, but they're not the same churches. The churches in Europe have more history. The US is newer, but I just believe that we don't spend as much time and money on preserving things, because I believe that if we do have older artifacts, we just don't do as good of a job because it's not as important to the US. The third question is what I think about the people around World War II protecting and preserving these works of art. I think personally that is beautiful, because even if you don't have the same religious morals, or like even if you're not religious, like I just believe that it is important to protect this work of art because it is history and helps us understand. And I believe if we didn't have this artwork today, we wouldn't understand how long religion has been around and how long art has even been around. It's like, I'm very surprised when I go into these museums that art can even be this old and can be protected. So I feel like it helps us with our knowledge of understanding how long things can last and how long religion has been around, and even understanding like the focus back then, the focus being on mostly religion, being on power, such as with royal leaders or people with a lot of money. Like, those were the people in charge. If you're royal, wealthy, and mostly men were in charge as well back then. And so this artwork helps us like prove those points. Yeah, so I'm really glad that around World War II, that they were really protecting these pieces of art, because I'm sure for some people it made them angry looking at this art because they just didn't believe in the same stuff as this artwork depicted. And the fourth question is how I think that this trip has affected me for the future. I believe it has impacted me in a really good way. I now have this different perspective on life. I also believe that I gained a lot of knowledge when looking at these museums and churches. And I believe now going forward, I'll be able to communicate better with, foreigners for one thing, and just being able to like sit and reflect and really like take in the beauty around me, because life moves fast. As you can see, a lot of things are still the same looking back at like the art, like such as with Christianity. Like I know like Christianity was a big part of my life growing up, and just like looking back and being able to say that that was still around back then. And so I believe that it has really helped me just sit, reflect, and understand that history is what like brought us here today, and it has really just impacted the way of life. And I'm also very grateful looking back, because I can see that there was a lot of, there was even a torture exhibit at the Mummick Museum, and so being able to just like see like that, like we're not the Roman Empire, we're not being thrown into the Colosseum for being Christian, we're not like, we're living definitely a lot more of a peaceful life. And even though we still have a lot farther to go, I believe that I am still grateful that I honestly didn't live back then. And yeah, I think it'll be easier for me to now go on and talk to everyone, communicate with others, even if we don't know the same language, and just really like find similarities and perspectives. So thank you so much for watching. Bye.